Welcome into the 2-Minute Drill, the Monday edition of the 2-Minute Drill. I'm Austin Gayle with my guys, Kevin Cole and Sam Monson, stepping in for the injured Mike Renner. Kevin, I want to start with you. Cam Newton signs with the New England Patriots, a one-year deal with Bill Belichick and company. Does that signing, does Cam Newton to Foxborough make them the odds-on favorite to win the AFC East?
I think it does. And the interesting thing is, even before the signing, maybe not on a lot of people's minds, but in the all-knowing oracles in Las Vegas taking bets, they were seen as a pretty decent bet before this. Now that he's been added, I think it solidifies things. I think they have the continuity when it comes to coaching. And I think there's more vulnerability in a team like the Bills, who is really the only other contender. We all know that Josh Allen has gotten better, but is he good enough? We really don't know that question. And the defense there can regress. So I think this does put them at the top of the stack, and by a decent margin.
Yeah, it's definitely a question of the two quarterbacks. You know, Josh Allen needs to take a step forward for the Bills, but we also don't have any real idea what Cam Newton is for the Patriots. And I think the Bills have the better roster top to bottom. The only reason they didn't win it a year ago is because the difference in the two quarterbacks, Josh Allen versus Tom Brady, even a declining Tom Brady. So I think it really comes down to what Cam Newton is. 2015, his MVP kind of season, was really the last season we've seen from him that had a PFF grade above 71. He would need to get an awful lot better than we've seen recently for him to be the clear better quarterback over Josh Allen, and that's what they need for them to be the clear favorites.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cam Newton is a better quarterback than Josh Allen when healthy, but I also think he needs to be used properly. If you're asking him to be very aggressive, push the ball downfield, we've seen what he could do from a turnover-worthy play perspective. I think going back to the 2018 season where you saw Cam Newton keep things close to the vest, his lowest ADOT of any single season in his career, that's where you saw a Cam Newton that could move the football forward and limit some of his mistakes. He still had a lot of turnover-worthy plays that season, but still, the question marks with Cam Newton, I still feel like the Patriots are the odds-on favorite. I think they have the better defense, but it's closer than people think. Ben Brown wrote a piece for PFF.com talking about how the betting market will overreact to this Cam Newton news and pour money on New England Patriots winning the AFC East. But again, that Buffalo Bills roster is still very good. And if Josh Allen improves even slightly, I think it could be closer than people think.
Well, you know, the big news is the Cam Newton signing, but there's still a void there with the New England Patriots. We really don't know what they're going to be doing with their weapons on offense. They haven't really made an upgrade there, and that was something that Tom Brady suffered a lot because of last year. So, Sam, what do you think? What is this enough? Do they have enough around Cam Newton to make this an effective offense?
Yeah, I mean, this receiving core in New England is not just bad. I mean, we saw that last season, but I think it's spectacularly ill-suited to what Cam Newton does well as well. They struggle with speed. They struggle with separation. There's really only one guy on that roster with any kind of speed. And this is at least not new for Cam Newton. He's dealt with subpar receiving cores for most of his career in Carolina, but people point back to that MVP season and say, you know, that was a disastrous group as well. But if you just simplify it to the PFF receiving grade of any eligible receiver that year versus last year in New England, in 2015 with Carolina, that group had a grade of 86.6. Last year in New England, it was 70.2. I think people are potentially underestimating just how poor this receiving group is, and it's a real problem for Newton.
I mean, you have question marks with Newton, and I think you have a ton of question mark in New England Patriots receiving corps. Julian Edelman, obviously not near a question mark in that category, but the tight end position, Matt LaCosse, two added tight ends as rookies in Dalton Keene, Devin Asiasi, and you need Mohamed Sanu to be healthy. You need Jacoby Myers to take a step up after being undrafted. Damiere Byrd, the only guy with speed. N'Keal Harry did not look great as a rookie, but he needs to improve. It's more question marks in the receiving corps. I think Cam Newton makes those guys better, but you still need one of those guys or two of those guys to step up, make plays after the catch, use that speed to stretch the field. Because if they don't create separation like they did last year, Cam Newton is not going to be able to have that much more success than Brady did.
Yeah, you know, I'm probably a little bit more positive about the situation here. I mean, there are two different versions of Cam Newton that everyone's going to talk about. They're going to talk about the MVP season in 2015, where he was stretching the field, he was throwing deep, he was making those chunk plays. He's not going to be able to do that here in New England. But there's also the 2018 version before he got injured with Norv Turner there. He had one of the lowest ADOTs in the league. He was throwing underneath. Devin Funchess was his leading targeted receiver there, along with Christian McCaffrey. So I think those are roles you can replicate. The question is going to be, can you add someone else to the mix? And I think the Patriots may do that. There are some names out there. And if reports are true that Bill Belichick was interested in keeping someone like Antonio Brown, I would look out to see what they may push the chips in here in this season to see if they can be successful now that Tom Brady has moved on.
That rolls in nicely to what this offense is going to look like with Cam Newton under center. We've seen him go through several iterations of scheme in Carolina. What are the Patriots going to do with him?
I think it's going to look a lot like the 2018 version of the Carolina Panthers with Cam Newton. Low average depth of target, get the ball out quickly to playmakers, maybe like Antonio Brown, maybe Josh Gordon gets added to the mix. You obviously have N'Keal Harry, who did his best work after the catch at Arizona State. Also, James White, one of the better receiving backs in the NFL. Get the ball out of his hands and get it to playmakers, and also run the football with him. If you're not calling design runs with Cam Newton in 2020, you're making a mistake. This guy's a rare athlete at a rare size. You have to run the football. I know it opens things up for injury, and he's been a bit injury plagued over the past few years, but if it's a one-year deal and you're trying to win with him now, you have to run the football with Cam Newton and get the ball out of his hands quickly.
Yeah, I think the run is really going to be the key. I mean, the thing with Newton is I think people overestimate what he's done as a passer, and they probably underestimate how important he's been with the run. And it's not scrambling. It's not going back to pass and then running and scrambling. These are design runs we're talking about here. So it has to be part of something that's really built into the offense. If you look at the proportion of how much he's run in the past, if you look at run to pass, it's about 10% of his total plays have been runs in the past, and that goes all the way through 2018. It dropped way down in the limited time that he played in 2019, and I just don't think he can be effective unless he's out there, he's running, and he's picking up those short yardage first downs like no one else can do in football.
I think ultimately we might see two different types of offense. We see the early offense that protects Cam Newton and doesn't get him banged up. I know it's only a one-year deal, but you want to be playing until the Super Bowl. You want to be playing until that final game of the season. And you have to worry about exposing Cam Newton to hits in September or in the first weeks of the season that will keep him out of those final games. So I think we might see one version of the offense early in the season, and then late we'll see them deploy the full spectrum of what Cam Newton can do. And that's when that offense should take another step forward and Newton becomes the better player that he can be.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.